coding club. So thank you for being here tonight. I feel like this was the first really nice day that we've had. So I really appreciated that sunshine as I left the school building today. So we're really appreciative of you being here and joining us tonight. I guess maybe we could just share our name and our school, and then some something, a highlight that we've had, or personal or at home highlight if you'd like to share. I'd love to hear good news. Does that sound all right with everyone? All right, I will start. And so my name is Linnea, and I teach at Whitefish Bay High School. As you mentioned, AP tests are coming up. I guess I'll share a high. I just had a really, I thought, engaging and productive review session. Sometimes I get really stressed out in helping my students review. In our AP Java class, we just reviewed 2D arrays today in class, and I just picked a few activities. I used something from CS Awesome. I used a few AP classroom questions, and I discussed one of the practice, from 2017 that they worked on yesterday. And I thought it was productive, and I heard my students saying, oh, I really hope they give me one like this, because it seemed pretty straightforward. So that just made me happy. And I guess I'll share a high from my personal life. I made it down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and back out, and I'm here to be with you. And that was like a lifelong goal for me. So
awesome.
Will you go next?
Sure. My name is Hagar Homayanpour, and I teach at New Berlin West. I think everybody knows me, maybe except Tina. I am a little bit stressed out about AP2. I teach 2 AP classes. So we did the practice exam because we had 1.5 hours time for practicing yesterday, and we did the 2021 practice exam AP, and to my surprise, everybody except one did really well. So I think I have 1 more week to work with that student, but the outcome was way better than I expected. I think we get really stressed out at this point for our students who worked hard the whole year, but I think the outcome was good. So that's the highlight of my whole week.
Olivia?
I think just probably the best thing is finally in northern Wisconsin, our snow is almost gone. So we had another snowstorm last night. So maybe but it's all gone already, and we just have patches in the woods. So it sounds kind of strange, but it's been a really tough year, and that is just fantastic news for us. AP, as far as on the AP end, I have 3 independent study students who are working on getting their crate task submitted. It's almost there. And then 2 sections of regular AP CSP, and only half of them have gotten it submitted so far. So crunch time.
Diane?
Hi, I am Deanne Landgraf, and I'm at Madison Academic Campus in Milwaukee, MPS. And one of my highlights yesterday was we had a visitor evaluator come, and my students did so well, and I was so proud of them, and I think they were proud of themselves as well. So we did a lesson on Ozobots, and they coded their program, and they all, we worked with a UN goal. It was one of the lessons in Ozobot that was pretty meaningful, like programming a path from developing skills that would lead you towards a career or graduating using the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, decent work and economic growth, Goal 8. And the students, I think, really were invested, and I'm so proud of them.
Mary?
Always a matter of finding that mute button. Mary Walls, Stockport High School, and I would say my highlight right now is we're on trimesters, so I'm into my 3rd trimester, and this is the first opportunity I've had to teach cybersecurity. And I would say it's going pretty good. I'm learning right along with the kids.
Great. Lori, will you go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So I'm Lori Hunt, and I teach at Middleton High School in Middleton, Wisconsin. And my highlights, I have two of them tonight. One of them is seeing Manushree here. I'm so happy that she was able to join us tonight. I can't wait for you guys to hear what she has to say. And the other highlight was yesterday's competition. Middleton High School took first and third place for the virtual students. So I was super duper proud of those kids because I know that they took a whole day out of their time to do this, and it was really cool that they could take those places. And I'm not talking about AP because my stress level was too high to discuss it.
Tina, will you go next?
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry, I have to have my camera off. I am working off a satellite at home, and it's sometimes my connection is not real good. Personal celebration. I'm seeing the sun, and that's fantastic after the last couple of days of weather. Personal or work celebration. I work at CSTA 7, and in my role, I support math and computer science. As part of that computer science work, I support school districts through the CS for All script process. So a celebration for us is that we have been working with 4 different school districts since the beginning of the school year to take them through that script process to develop that equitable K-12 computer science program. So that's our celebration.
Great. Rosalie, would you like to go next? Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Rosalie. I'm actually in a movie house, so I had to turn on my camera. Yeah. So this is my first year teaching middle school students, and I'm actually planning to start a club, especially for girls next year. And I'm really hoping that I can learn a lot from the meeting today. Celebrations for for me at work, I would say I did this robotics with everyone, including my business students, and I think it was really fun. Able to convince them to take computer science next school year. That would be my intention. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Joe, how about you?
Hi, I'm a math and computer science retired, or a retired math and computer science, and flip my words around even, from Milwaukee Public Schools. And since you guys, most of you guys are talking about AP, I remember how stressful this was right before the test, even going back to when we started this whole program in 83, 84. And my positive is that we're coming up to the aspirations event where we're going to honor 138 young women around the state. And that'll happen at MSOE Kern Center on May 1st. And Linnea, I appreciate your NC WIT background. As you can see, I've been using their backgrounds too. So thank you.
And Amy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Featherston. I teach at Tosa West. And Linnea and I were chatting as people were coming into the Zoom today. I'm piloting an e-textiles unit in my ECS class. So I have lots of freshmen through seniors, very many boys, students with IEPs, etc., sewing up a storm lately. And it has been so fun to see how this project plays out with my crew. And they're super excited about what they're making. So it's really fun. I look forward to jumping in each day to see what they're gonna do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will. I'm having, Lori, having all of the students document their progress on a Google site. So I'll have all of their projects and their progress along the way to be able to share.
That'd be great. Thank you. And then, oh yeah.
And Manushree, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Manushree. I'm a sophomore at Middleton High School, and I'm here to talk about a club called csta. I'm the vice president of the club, and a personal highlight for me is this: the weather is so good today. I'm really happy about that, and I'm also really nervous for my AP test that's also coming up. So yeah.
All right. Hello, welcome, Emily. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
We just have been doing some introductions and sharing highlights. Would you like to just do an introduction, and then I'll introduce you and Manushree to tell us a little more about your clubs?
Sure. So I'm Emily. I'm currently an engineer at the Space Force, and a highlight from today was I got accepted into like this education thing that's like a week-long course, and I was really excited about it. So I'm excited to do that.
Congratulations. All right, well, I just want to thank both Manushree and Emily for coming to tell us a little bit about their club. So we're really excited as teachers to hear what you're doing and why you're doing it and what you love about it. Manushree, would you like to start and tell us a little bit about your club and what you wanted to share?
Yeah. So our club's called csta, and we teach Python to middle schoolers. And one of our main goals is to increase the diversity in computer science, because I know there can be a lot of stereotypes around computer science. And our goal is to just kind of break those stereotypes and teach younger generations that computer science is for anyone and everyone who wants to learn. So this year we're teaching Python to middle schoolers, and our first session of session 2 actually is this Saturday, and I'm really excited about that. So our course is like a 5-week program, and the lessons are held at Middleton High School. And I want to talk a bit about the curriculum. We start off with 15-minute presentations about a significant person that made an impact in the STEM community. And we start off with Scratch. For our first lesson, we do a bit about, we just do a lot about introductory stuff and all that. And our second lesson, we start off with Python Turtle and teach them basic commands and how angles and all that can, with the directions and all that, we talk about how angles can play a role in direction. And then we go to Mad Libs. We teach them about print statements, input statements, and variables. And then we move on to a choose your own adventure project, and we talk more about if statements and Booleans. And for our last lesson, we give them work time and time to just finish up, maybe start a new project with everything that they learned. And we also provide them with additional learning material with all the stuff that we didn't cover in our 5 lessons. And I want to talk a bit about how our club is divided up. We have 2 committees. We have the social media committee and the advertising committee. Our social media committee deals with the diversity lessons that I previously talked about. And then it's also in charge of managing and updating the social media platforms that we have. Advertising is in charge of just advertising our club, getting new participants to join, contacting the parents and getting the contact information and all of that, just getting everything sorted out before our first lesson. And basically we advertise to the 2 middle schools that we have in our district, Glacier and Cromery, and we talk to the middle school teachers there, the STEM clubs there too, and the Girls and Boy Scouts. We contact Badger Bots, I think, and also the Middleton Public Library. And yeah.
Great job summarizing everything, Manushree.
Thank you.
Thank you. And when you meet, do you meet on Saturdays?
Yeah, we meet on Saturdays from 10 to 12.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Shri, can I have a question? How did your advertisement, how does it work? Like, how do you connect to people? How do you contact parents or the students to recruit?
So mainly we contact the middle schoolers and we contact the middle school teachers, and that's where a lot of our, that's where we advertise the most, and that's where people learn about our club the most. And we basically recruit new members by Google Forms, and we ask them to fill a Google form, and we send them emails and announcements and all that.
I think you have a website too, and if I remember correctly, you had a QR code that parents could scan in for that form last year. So that was really helpful, I think, in getting people. This year, how many people signed up? Was it like 60?
Yeah, there was a lot of people. We had to break it down to 2 sessions to fit them all. Yeah.
60 some people. And it's just, through the website that they have. And I think the teachers at the middle school were posting the website and the QR code.
Okay, thank you.
But also social media, because you guys posted it on I don't know if Twitter, but I saw it on Facebook at one point.
We post a lot on Instagram too, I think.
And Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
How many high school students do you have in the club?
We have about 20 to 30 people, I think. There are usually about 6 to 10 people at the lessons that we do for middle schoolers.
And how often does your high school team meet? Aside from
we meet every Tuesday.
Thank you. So Emily is here, as you mentioned, she's a college graduate working in industry, but she was a student that did a lot of outreach after her AP Java exams to some elementary schools in our district, and she single-handedly founded our Bay Girls Coding Club. So she's here to talk a little bit about that, and maybe we can get her to tell us a little bit about some other things as well. So Emily, please go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I did create a little presentation. Oh, well, I can't, it's okay, it's not that important. It says the host, oh, never mind, I can. Perfect. All right, can you all see my screen? All right, perfect. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I graduated from Whitefish Bay High School in 2017. It's crazy that it's 5 years ago. It flew by. I went to the Milwaukee School of Engineering. I studied electrical engineering. I graduated this past spring. During that time, I was in ROTC, so I ended up commissioning into the Air Force. And then as the Space Force was developing, I decided to volunteer into that since they had a lot more tech jobs available. And I was selected as a project engineer, and I moved to Los Angeles this past October. And currently I'm working for the cybersecurity team on satellites. So why did I start Girls Coding Club? Mrs. Logan helped me out a lot. She really drove my decision to start it. It was a great opportunity, so I'm forever grateful for that. And then on top of that, the NC WIT Award, which I won, was also kind of like there in the background at that point, and they had grants available to really help launch the club. So those two things combined really helped me make the decision to start a club. So how did I start it? Mrs. Logan again. She was really helpful. She had a lot of ideas. Not having much teaching experience myself, Mrs. Logan really helped me come up with a curriculum to help middle schoolers learn about coding. And then again, that NC WIT grant helped out a lot. Just having that financial help really opened up a lot more opportunities to do with the club. And then word of mouth. After the decision to make the club, I told my friends about it, and they were enthusiastic, and a lot of them had younger siblings in middle school, which was the target audience. And with that, more and more people found out about it, more and more people were getting excited about it, and it just spread and people wanted to do it. And then I also believe we made flyers and put them up around the school in middle school. I remember just walking around and like looking at all the opportunities. So those do help a lot more than one might think. And then utilizing the school's resources, we had a website, and I think there's like a newsletter, and I think we put stuff out there. That was like 5 years ago. So, and then finally robots. We did get, I forget what they're called, but I remember we got these little robots, and we had at the school fair that kind of showed all the clubs. We had those robots there, and that was a really good attention grabber for people to come over and see what was up with this Bay Girls Coding Club. And we gathered a lot of interest through that as well. So the impact on me, it was a great leadership opportunity. Not many high schools, like most high schools have like a set number of clubs. So not many people think about like starting their own clubs. That was a great time to kind of start something from the ground up. Connections, just being able to work with people you might not ordinarily work with, be it teachers, other classmates. And then we were also able to get people from industry to come and talk to the club. So that was good too, to get to talk to them and kind of build those connections. Outside the box mentality. Again, I feel like in high school, there's already like a set like thing, status quo that you do. Like there's like drama club, like all those clubs that like already exist. So like starting a new club kind of like helped me foster that idea that like just because something doesn't exist doesn't mean it can't exist. And then learning for fun. Similarly, a lot of clubs at school are more focused on like not learning. So like this kind of club that did use things that we learned in school to do something fun that kind of like allowed me to see it from a different perspective and really made me enjoy learning a lot more. And then as I studied electrical engineering in college, it really impacted and influenced my decision for that. And then the benefits on the participants and volunteers. It's a comfortable space to grow. Having it be girls only really allowed girls to just kind of try things and not worry so much. Sadly, I feel like a lot of guys grew up like having those opportunities like just given to them, like just like with what they're like given at a really young age. So like having that for girls is really important. And then the ability to see application of what is learned in school, kind of like I was talking about before, but just like seeing that in like a fun light, seeing that way with what you can do after school, and just like seeing how it like can be fun, because like sometimes like just like doing a bunch of like work seems like work, but like having that club and have it being focused on that fun aspect can like be a really good thing to have. And then teaching others is the best way to learn. Having to learn things to teach younger kids, that was really a good way for me to like further understand like the coding aspect, and like needing to explain it to other people. Like that's like a skill that like needs, like that's a skill that should not be underappreciated. That's a really hard thing to do. And then courage. Sometimes it's like a little weird. Like people are like, why are you starting a new club? Like what are you doing with this? Like, so having that kind of like starting something new as the perspective of the participant, like that's really something cool for them to experience. Starting out in a new club that wasn't there all along. People might scratch their heads a little bit at what they're doing, but it's really important. And then finally, any questions?
What did you teach? Like what did you code? The robots?
Yeah, we used, I think it's called Scratch, the little thing where it's more like you're dragging and dropping.
Okay.
Do you still use that? I don't know. But yeah, we did that for a lot of it. And then I forget what the other application you used was, but it's a lot of, like Mrs. Logan can jump in here, but
yeah. So they did a variety of projects, pretty similar to what Manushree said. So Emily had some different lessons prepared at the beginning, and they started out with an introductory project in Scratch, and then they investigated some different projects. And actually, some of the groups ended up doing not all of the same projects. So some people wanted to do a little more of a text-based coding language, and they investigated that. And some of the students were working with, this was before COVID and 5 years ago, so it's really hard to remember that. We've had variations of it since, but the Scratch, and then we did some things where they were making apps, so different applications that were available, but all very introductory, but focused on creativity and design.
Yeah, I would throw in there the same thing for the group that Manushree's in right now when they started, and they've done different things every year. It just kind of depends on the group and what they kind of want to dive into. And so it's pretty open. App Inventor was one of the things that we used for a while, and that was kind of fun. And then the robotics things, I think they bought, because originally, Emily, ours started through an NC WIT funding also. So it was an only girls club for at least 2 or 3 years. And we were able to buy some of those EVI kits, the Lego, they're like Legos robotics. And so we did that one summer for a session, and that was a blast. We still have them. And yeah, so I think we did the same thing, or it's kind of all over the place, just depends.
I'm sorry, I'm asking too many questions, but I'm really interested and I want to start it hopefully next year. So my question is that when you say investigating, is that the students sit together, figure it out, learn on their own? Or is it like more structured, like Manushree, that they teach, there is a curriculum and they teach? Or is it like open projects, like each group would learn a specific language? How does it work? Because that would be great if I can use your experiences and see what worked, what didn't work. Our school has 7 to 12, so we don't have separate middle school. And I do teach 7 to 12. So I'm thinking of something that is different with what I teach in class. So students can benefit from it. That's why I'm asking, what are they doing in that room? Like somebody teaches them, or they learn on their own?
I believe what we did usually is we had a little lesson at the beginning to kind of teach them a topic. And then after that, we kind of let them go off on their own. And we kind of had like a tutor sort of system where the high schoolers were there to help out the younger kids. And then if they needed help, they could go over and individually help them. But it was more like self-paced and self-discovery kind of after that, an original lesson.
Thank you.
Sagar, I think it's really cool that you're thinking about doing this at your school. What I saw happen at our school since we started this club in 2017 is my numbers of girls and underrepresented, students that are normally underrepresented in a programming classroom, which is not a required class, but elective, is now I have like this potpourri of ethnicities, genders, ages, and I that's kind of what I wanted. Like that was the whole impetus of this from the beginning. So I'm excited for you that you're going to start this. I want to support you, Manushree and Emily, and we all want to support you. We want you to do this because I think it's necessary. So I'm really glad that you're going to do this.
Did the boys complain why there is no boys club?
I've never heard any complaints about that. I mean, we do allow boys in the club now, although, we've been talking about there's a little bit of backlash, but I'm using it more to help the boys kind of understand their place in how this is. So I think that's an equally important role. It's a little more difficult to navigate, but it's equally important. So that's why this year is the first year we're allowing boys in the club, but there was never any like parent complaints or admin complaints or anything.
No, I didn't mean like parent complaints, like if the boys came to say how we want the club too, or we want to join this club too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there was never any prior to this, because we kind of coined it as a girls club. We never got any, although in our district, we have a very high population of non-gender or non-binary students. And so that's kind of why we opened it up this year, because it's, it's such a tricky thing to navigate.
Thank you.
What I would say at our school, we started and we had like, Emily started the club and developed a base of volunteers. So we had a really high, a good ratio. We probably had one high school volunteer for every 2 middle school volunteers or middle school participants. So after they listened to Emily's lesson and she showed an example, students were able to experiment and try to do what she did and then be creative. And the high school volunteers were able to ask questions. Well, what happens if you try this? Because we had that really good ratio. And so they were able to really individualize the discovery and the inquiry. But as far as what happened, as far as the clubs go, Emily developed, and she had then new leaders for the next year. And so the club continued for several years. And it was a girls coding club for several years. And then at one year, I feel like we had some 6th grade twins. And so there was push from the administration, a boy and girl twin. And so to have it, and rather than going to the middle school, they came to the high school. And that year it happened to be the year right before COVID. And the way the numbers went, my leaders weren't as strong that particular year. And we ended up having 75% boys and 25% girls in the club. And it completely changed the dynamic. And so then we sort of were about to take a hiatus and regroup and reform it. But then COVID hit and we've been on a 2-year, we haven't had the club. So we are gonna need to really rethink, because what Emily said about the difference in perception and a natural ability between girls and boys, I noticed that a lot. And what I've really noticed is when there are activities or projects with a purpose, the girls are super excited about it. So like after Emily's AP exam, the year she took AP CSTA, Emily and her classmate, they made a project and they went and visited every 4th and 5th grade student in our entire district and did a little demo for them. Whereas some of the boys in her class, they made a little project, right? But Emily was on fire about this and went above and beyond because there was service involved. And so I see that with my girls. And so I'm really glad to hear what Lori said about how the service club invigorated and encouraged the more broad base of who is taking her classes. I see that would really happen. And Emily, I should tell you that now I'm seeing all of those middle school girls that you taught are in high school and they're taking CS classes.
That's so exciting. I saw Caroline Gruber, she like won the NC Witt Award. I used to babysit for her before the club, so I'm friends with her mom and stuff, so that's so exciting.
Cigar, as far as curriculum goes, you know, Google has that program called CS First, and that's intended to be middle school oriented, project based, and it can be an independent study thing. It can also be used in the classroom and stuff, but and you know, it's been developed over a period of time, and there's some real good stuff in there. So you might want to investigate that. It's all free, of course.
Thank you. I heard about it a few years ago, and I think I forgot. Thank you so much. I'll take a look at it. Yeah, that would be great.
And Girls Who Code also has curriculum that's free, but I've never I've tried it, and it's really good stuff. But what really sparked me is when Emily would say, "Let's try this," and then the girls would do it. That works really to invigorate the students when it's more open-ended and less of a here, try to make this program from
or like a canned curriculum. I agree. We've had a lot more success with non-canned curriculum, and that's why Scratch is kind of cool too, because it's infinitely many things you can do with that. And it's a great way to show them what a pencil code is. Another cool block language that translates nicely into a JavaScript type of language. So I'd recommend that one.
Thank you so much.
So Emily, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your experiences at MSOE and coding classes or other classes, or anything you wanted to share about anyway, your experiences in engineering. I mean, you're probably, I'm guessing anyway, just tell me a little bit about your college experience.
Yeah, it was very different because MSOE was on a quarter system. I think they're switching to semesters. So it was a 10-week long course. And so it was very intense. And we learned so much in that 10-week course. If you were sick for a week, you were done. It was so hard to bounce back. But I mean, it was kind of cool in a way to see how much you could learn in such a short amount of time. And yeah, we did have a Girls Who Code club for high schoolers, which was cool. One of my friends got me involved in that, so I actually got to continue teaching girls how to code, so that was really fun. And yeah, beyond that, it was just it was cool. Engineering is a lot more applied, so so I did electrical engineering, so we would do stuff with the hardware and the software side of things. So it was cool to kind of see things come together. And our junior year, we actually got to create robots completely from scratch. And that was just crazy because you'd have to work with the hardware side of things and kind of figure out what would be best for that. And then on top of that, figure out the software side. So it's just cool kind of going full circle and bringing everything together. And the teamwork I got to experience there, the closeness I got with my classmates, that was just really neat. And yeah, it was a really good experience overall.
As a little twist on these Girls Who Code Club, we have so much competition in our school with all the different clubs and sports and things that people have going on. that I was able to draw more numbers rather than having a girls who code club. I offer a girls in STEM club, and it's my roundabout way to get girls into coding without turning them off and saying, oh no, I don't like coding. So we do a variety of activities. Like we did Skype a scientist and we talked with a biomedical engineer. I've taken the girls into our fab lab at school and they've gotten to use the laser printers or the laser engraver and the 3D printers. Last week, we actually met thinking about MSOE with one of my previous students and a number of girls in her sorority. And she was also an NC WIT winner. So we're talking about how NC WIT's affecting so many people down the line. And her sorority from MSOE came and talked to the girls about all the different STEM fields and their different paths of engineering. So I'm finding that I really enjoy this club. It's drawing in a wider variety of girls than just a Girls Who Code club.
And how often does your club meet, Amy?
We meet once or twice a month. Again, we're all still trying to rebuild from COVID. Like we had it going and now we're coming back. And sometimes we do activities with just the girls, and then they did want to do a coding thing for the middle school. So for the National Week of Code, they went to the middle school and they worked with all of the math classes at our middle school and introduced them to some coding. And same thing, they had some activities picked out where kids could start, and then they walked around and helped the kids create something. So that way we hit every middle schooler through a math class.
So Emily, can you tell us a little bit about what you do in your job now?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I didn't think I'd continue on with more coding because I did an internship at Rockwell my junior and senior year of college. That was more working on like the quality side of things, like looking at what was wrong with products and like fixing them. So more like of the physical things. But then when I got onto my base, knowing that I'd be a project engineer, they immediately assigned me to the cybersecurity and crypto team. And that just kind of like shocked me because I felt like I didn't have that much experience with coding at that point. But I have actually learned a lot. And they have this program that helps you learn more intense coding. And it's just really interesting getting to see that side of satellites and just kind of getting to see like how many people are on this effort and getting to work with so many cool people that are so much older and much smarter than me. So it's a really good experience so far.
I'm sure they feel the same about you.
Emily, what like programming languages or environments or whatever do they use, or is it all proprietary or all secret? You know?
So far, what I have been experiencing has been Java and JavaScript, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I haven't been able to see like a lot of the like secret or top secret code yet, so I don't know what they use for that.
Are you working towards getting, or are they having you work towards getting security clearance at some level? Probably. So.
Like I currently have a secret clearance, and I currently have the top secret clearance, but like you can have the clearance, but you like still can't see the things, if that makes sense. Like they have to have you like you're cleared, but then they have to like make you go to a class to like further that, I guess. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those need to know things. If you don't need to
Yeah.
know it, even though you've got the security clearance to see it, you don't see it. That's
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
way the military works, yeah. Which makes sense, actually.
And just one more question, do you do a lot of your work in a team environment? And can you speak a little to that?
Yeah, I work with a team of about 4 people, and so there's one guy who's like the technical expert who knows like every single thing inside and out. And then there's one guy who's kind of like the leader who is kind of like on the front lines, like talking to everyone. And then there's me who just started, and I'm just kind of like the background support right now, kind of doing like the odds and ends and like kind of doing the not so glamorous work, I guess. And then there's another person on my team, and she does a lot of like the paperwork, kind of like contracting side of things. So that's cool. And yeah, we all work together. Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like I feel like when you're in school, you only work with like people who are your age. So it's just kind of like weird working with people who are like of all different backgrounds, ages, and yeah, it's a new experience for sure.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate and loved hearing what you have to say. And thank you for like the work that you did, starting this club. As you can see, I think the club I want to tell you that Lori Hunt, when she heard about your club, she said, we need that in Middleton. And so that is directly from NCWIT and from you. Those things happen and you've made such an impact. So we want to thank you very much and appreciate you coming to talk with us. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me.
Thank you, Emily.
Joe, I have a quick question from you before you leave.
Yeah, sure.
I have a student for that I like won the NCWIT awards. She told me that there is like a scholarship for UW Milwaukee, SOIS. This is what she emailed me. And she said that she couldn't find the scholarship. She's a senior and she's looking into it. Is there one for UWM?
Yeah, for the SOIS program. I'll send you the
Thank you. That would be great. I told her that I will see you tonight and I will ask you. Perfect.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for the session. That was really helpful. Thank you.